Welcome to Move, period. All right, let's get started. Safety first. You know yourself better than anybody else does, so make sure to go at a pace that's comfortable for you. Let's work on our range of motion and having controlled movement patterns. Also, understand the difference between pain and fatigue. If you're in pain, stop. If you are fatigued, that's great. That means you're working hard. But take a moment to gather ourselves so we don't lose our movement pattern, that we don't have bad form and get hurt. After we take that moment, then resume our workout. Today's game plan, let's make sure that we have already performed our warm-up. That is 10 reps per warm-up exercise. So the first one will be knee hug to calf raise. So make sure we alternate and our right leg goes up, then our left leg goes up, and then that's considered 1 rep. Make sure to take the time to stretch on out. We've provided some stretches for you. Do the ones that are comfortable for you. Roughly hold them about 20 seconds each. After you've completed your stretching, go ahead and take about a 90-second water break, and then we'll get started with our shoulder complex. The shoulder complex is only to be completed for 1 round. Again, let's make sure to use a timer. The timer is going to keep us accountable for our 30 to 45 seconds of work, and then our transitional period of about 15 seconds, and then on to the next exercise, and then making sure our breaks don't extend beyond 90 seconds. Okay, folks, let's go! Starting off with front raise, again, whether you have or do not have equipment. Moving our arms forward in front of our shoulders, making sure our wrists are not bent, arm almost fully extended. Upright row, making sure our elbows go out and up away from our body, keeping our fists underneath us, making sure our wrists do not bend. Lateral raise, extending our arm out away from our body. Almost fully extended, minimal bend in the elbow. Make sure if we do have dumbbells in our hand to remember to keep our wrists straight. If we choose to use a band, we may have to adjust our hand positioning. Curl to press. We're going to start with our hands out away from us. Curl our hand all the way up and then rotate our hand out by our ear, pressing our arm directly above our shoulder, returning our arm, our elbow back down till our hand's in line with our shoulder, returning our elbow back in with our palm facing us, and then extending our arm back down to our initial starting position. Then over rear delt. Make sure we're in a low position where our chest is just slightly above parallel to the floor. So our shoulders are slightly elevated above our hips, keeping our legs almost straight, extending our arms, our hands out directly away from our shoulders with a minimal bend in our elbows, keeping our wrists straight and our focal point forward. We are primed and ready to go. Let the rounds begin. These next set of exercises are to be performed for 30 to 45 seconds, and based on your level of training, you can go 2 to 4 rounds. Of course, 2 for the novice and 4 for the more experienced. Bent over row, working our back and our biceps as a secondary muscle mover. Making sure we have a low position with our chest slightly above parallel from the ground. Making sure our legs are almost straight. Taking our elbows back towards our side. Squeezing our back as if someone's hand is in the middle. We want to make sure when we return the dumbbell or just our hands to the floor, we return them under control, as well as maintaining our focal point forward throughout the whole movement. Hip extension to hip flexion, making sure we extend our leg all the way out in a controlled manner, almost parallel to our body. While we are extending our leg out away from us, we're also going to reach towards the floor with both of our hands, keeping our focal point forward and our back flat. Then if you want to keep it simple and just take your time and balance and bring our knee back forward, Otherwise, if you want a little bit more of a challenge, then just drive that knee forward as if you're sprinting, and then catch yourself, pause in the middle, and then start all over again. Supine chest press to bridge, making sure when we lay down, we position our feet close enough to our hips, so when we extend our hips up, that will create almost a 90-degree angle between our hips, our knees, and our feet. When we have the dumbbells in our hand, or if it's just our hands pressing up, we can choose whether we want to do an overhand grip, which means our elbows are away from us and our fists directly above our elbows, or a neutral grip position, which is our knuckles facing up, elbows right by our sides. Just make sure that the dumbbells start on the outside of our chest area, and then when we extend up away from our body, we're actually extending up in line with our shoulder. Once we extend all the way up to the top, above our shoulder, then we're gonna drive our hips up. As we're driving our hips up, we wanna put pressure in the middle of our feet, squeezing our glutes at the top, returning our hips to the floor, therefore returning our elbows to the floor afterwards. All right, turning over for our favorite push-ups. Push-ups can be done. Doesn't matter which position, whether you do them from your hands and your toes or your hands and your knees. You want to maintain a flat back regardless, and keep your hips between your shoulders and your feet, or either your knees, making sure your shoulders are always above your hands when you're extended up. Taking ourselves down under control. So if we need to modify this even more, if we're not able to get all the way up, then just control ourselves down to the floor if it's a slow 5 count. Keep in mind, if our head positioning, as far as our head positioning, if we can see our knees or our toes, then our head is in the wrong position. So we want to make sure our focal point maintains and stays forward throughout the movement. On to the plank. We want to make sure our feet are positioned just slightly apart, putting pressure on the balls of our feet, as well as on our hands slightly outside of our shoulders. Maintaining a flat back with our chest out, focal point forward. Again, keeping our hips in between either our shoulders and our knees if we're doing a knee plank, or our hips between our shoulders and our feet if we're doing a full plank. If we are doing a full plank, remember to have a slight bend, so minimal bend in the knees. Instead of doing a full bicycle, we're actually going to split it up, break it down, and do one side at a time. So we're going to place our hand behind our head. So if it's our left side first, we're going to take our left hand behind our head for support, not to pull on our head. Then we're going to take our elbow to our opposite leg, so our right leg, bringing our knee in, all the way in, pulling our belly button in, pushing our back down to the floor, keeping our lower back engaged with the floor, then extend our leg out and return our upper body to the floor at the same time. Congratulations! Round 1 is complete. Enjoy your water break, take about 90 seconds, and then you can choose how many more rounds you do based on your training level and what you're comfortable with. Keep up the good work, everyone. Be proud. Move. Period.